name's Gordon Bailey, originally from the East End of London, Hackney. I've been involved with what you call treasure hunting or metal detecting, or even people call it artefact recovery. But regardless, it's all the same sort of thing. It's the end result, it's what we find in the ground, the things we find of interest, not just for myself, but for everybody else, because you'll find that things that have turned up out of the ground, people haven't even seen before, let alone even recognise. And I think it's one of those hobbies which is perfect.
Why are you here tonight at the Galleywood Heritage Centre with some of your artefacts?
I've always been interested in giving talks for people. It's not worth finding these things and leaving them at home for other people not to be able to see. So I always fetch out the artefacts to do talks with, for people to handle and have a general conversation with them, because they find them just as interesting as everybody else.
How long have you been metal detecting?
50 years.
How did you get hooked on it?
As I said, I come from the East End of London, and when I was 10 or 12 years old, I was actually wheeling and dealing down the East End of London, a place called Brick Lane.
A bit of a Del boy then, wheeling and dealing. Did you have a three-wheeler?
I had a three-wheeler for quite a few years because I only had a motorbike licence.
Bless. So what was it? London, Paris and Peckham?
No, it was a front window, two broken back windows.
What did you used to wheel and deal? Or can't you say?
Oh yeah, I mean anything with the antiques, coins, anything such as that. And it was one of those things which you're, when you actually get involved, it is incredible. You never know what's around the corner, what you're going to find.
You got hooked on wheeling, dealing, collecting, and it seems natural that you should try your hand, on the foreshore of London?
I've done the Thames as well, digging the Thames. The only thing is, we used to come back very, very muddy. And because we had to go by train, people really didn't like you travelling on the train, looking like you'd just come out of a mud bath.
But with gold coins in your pocket?
No, brass coins, which look like gold.
Must be very heartbreaking.
Not really. I mean, it's like anything, it's a luck of the draw. You never know what you're going to find. You're never going to find anything nice. Even a tin can, you just don't know what's round the corner.
Was one of your sayings, one day I'm going to become a millionaire, Rodney?
Yes, but I didn't have anybody called Rodney. It was Brenda, my wife.
One day we're going to be millionaires. I don't suppose you are a millionaire?
No, not yet. I'm still looking.
Everybody must ask the first question, and I'm going to ask it. What's the most expensive thing you've ever found?
It might seem strange, but when I first started, I dug up a coin which was called a gold stater, and it dated to 50 BC. And to me, it was wonderful because I was the first person to touch that in over 2,000 years. At first, I thought to myself, you know, lovely, but you know, when you find these things, you look at it, you can't visualise the person who lost it. But in this case, it wasn't lost because in the Celtic period, they buried their gold coins to make the gods happy.
But this wasn't a hoard, was it?
No, this was a single find. If
you were to find a hoard, what does a hoard consist of? More than 5 items?
Actually now they've all to be law. It's if the 2 silver coins come out of one hole, it has to be declared as a hoard. 1 gold, 1 silver, or 2 gold. However, if they're dispersed over a field, over a wide area, and there's more different grains, then you don't have to declare them as such.
This calls for incredible honesty because are you torn between declaring them and getting money or keeping them and not effectively not making money? How do you separate?
Well, first of all, you have to do a deal with the farmer, and now that deal is actually law. It's 50-50, and it's something I've always abided by. If you find something of great value, then you sell it, or you pay the farmer, or he pays you. So you do have an option. However, as you can appreciate, sometimes it can be worth many thousands of pounds, one item, which doesn't necessarily have to be declared. But there again, I'm not in a position to have thousands of pounds behind me to buy it. So we normally have to pass it on, and we divide the proceeds.
Would you describe yourself, without being unfair to some colleagues who have tarnished the name, as an honest detector?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're fetched up, to be honest, it's something which is in you. A lot of people are very, very greedy, and obviously they give the hobby a bad name. Other people are, you would say, ignorant, but they don't know the law, and they get very, very worried when they find something. They don't know how to declare it, who to declare it to, what it is, and they don't really know the processes of the law.
What's your advice to them? Look it up?
Read it up. It's no big deal. Anybody can find out about it. You can go to your local museum. But I always recommend that if you do find something of value, first of all, make sure you get a receipt from it, from the museum. You've got a photograph of it, and other people have actually seen it and handed it before you put it into the museum.
Why is that?
A friend of mine, about 20 years ago, he dug up a gold brooch. It was a medieval brooch dating to the 15th century, and it was called a turret brooch. Now, a turret brooch is a round gold ring with turrets hung around the side of it, and what it is that each turret contained a very precious stone, and there was 12 turrets. Now,
that's a lot of stones.
That's a lot of stones, and 20 years ago, it was valued then at about £40,000.
Today's value?
Today's value
100,000?
£250,000.
£250,000.
And the museum lost it. They said they lost it. Now obviously the chap was very distraught. He said, but I handed it in, and they said, do you have the receipt? And he said, you didn't give me one. So this is what I always say to people, get a receipt, take a photograph, and other people verify that you have got it.
So he couldn't sue them?
No, because everything's done on trust. There's no saying the museum lost it intentionally, shall we say. But with something of great value like that, you have to watch your back.
So this gentleman lost his pension. He lost his fortune.
Yes.
Because the museum genuinely lost it.
Yes. But you see, who can I appreciate something like this? I say, when it's of high value as well, you must really declare everything. It stands to reason, but you also must make sure you've got proof. Though you officially own it, because the law says 9/10 of the law, you own it. The other 1/10 belongs to somebody else. There again, if it is lost, then what do? I mean, it must be so frustrating for the man.
But if he had taken a photograph of it and had a receipt, what sway could he hold?
Then the museum is responsible, because they've accepted it. They've accepted it as treasure found, treasure to be going through the proper proceeds. But there again, it didn't have that chance, did it? Because it was gone, and there was no proof. Now, anything like that, if there's no record of it ever being found, there's no record of it being handed in, then it could be sold anywhere on the open market, especially in the black open market.
What about yourself? You're saying that the most precious thing you found was that stater. Now, where is the stater? Is it in a museum or?
I've still got it.
In a secret hidey hole?
No, not quite. It's close. But obviously you can appreciate over 50 years of digging, I've actually found numerous, if not thousands of artefacts. This is what I like to take about, show people. It's no good holding these things indoors, because what's the good of it? And I can't take it with me. Now, what do? If it's like this, I'll write books on it. I've written about 10 books. All the artefacts I've recovered. And like that, people actually help to identify the items they've found.
And you obviously like to be the honest detector, the honest artefact, because you can sleep at night and you're passing on knowledge to other people. Don't make this mistake, you must do this, you must get a photograph, you must declare it. Be honest like me, because it will go wrong.
You'll get caught out eventually. Everybody does. I'd rather be on a field looking at the ground and not over my shoulder, because that's what it really boils down to. Everywhere I go, I've got permission. I've got the backup of the farmers, the landowners, and they know full well if I find something, I'll show them. If they don't want it, I keep it. If it's not very valuable, if it's ain't of value, then we sell it on.
What's the biggest hoard you found then? Have you found this beautiful hoard of?
I found a hoard. In fact, I found two. The first one was made of lead. They were all medieval tokens, not worth a great deal, but nevertheless, it shows you how these medieval tokens were produced, because they was in their crude form.
But it would be valuable to somebody, to an organisation who would like a collection of those, wouldn't it?
Not a great deal of money, but there again, I don't deal in money as such.
But would you have loaned those to a museum that said, oh, we'd like, a small museum that would like, oh, we'd love a representation, could you loan it to us? Do you
I could loan them. I could loan them, but with the museums, I think it's like most things, that they've got so much and they can't display it. I give stuff to certain museums in this area, and for some reason, they just don't bother to put it on show. So why? Therefore, it seems to me like, why should I do these things? Why should I help the museums? There was one chap in the...
So they've got it, Gordon, in their, as it were, Indiana Jones warehouse, in a box that will never ever be seen.
It will never be seen.
Have you asked for them back?
No, it's not worth it. I mean, the chap who was actually running the museum at that particular time, I got on very, very well. And he used to come round my house and I identify stuff which the museum was finding. And he said, lovely, you know, we need more people like that. Which, well, but when he left, it all went pear-shaped.
Also, there's a limited amount of space in the local museums, isn't there? And are people really interested in going to a museum, do you think, to look at things?
People are interested in going to museums, but I found out that at Colchester Museum in particular, I was there a few months ago when they actually done refurbishment of it. I actually had a look around, and instead of the actually photos or artefacts being shown, it never just told you what they were. And I thought to myself, how ridiculous, because people would want to find out what they are. I mean, it was things like a spur. It was a 14th century spur, it was quite a rare one, and all it had under it was a spur. It didn't have the date, the type of person who have used it, anything else. So why have they got it on show? Why haven't they actually told the people what it is? And it wasn't just a spur, it was numerous things. I picked out about 20, 30 pieces, and none of them was actually told what they were or what they was used for, let alone even the dates.
Did you mention it to anybody?
I wrote a letter to them.
And the reply?
Nothing.
Nothing?
No.
Do you know if the letter, did you send the letter to them, registered, must signature at the other end?
I done it in the museum, and I handed it in. So I thought like that, it made sure it got there. And I done it actually on the day we was visiting. I can go to other museums, Harlow Museum's got a nice one, Sheppey, or places like that. And when I go there, they normally, if they recognise me, they'll call on me and say, do you know what this is? Do you know what that is? What's the date? What it is used for? And but when I take my wife out for the day, it's normally to a museum and she has to sit there all day with me talking.
It could be called professional jealousy. Now, why haven't you got yourself a decent job at last, gone straight and become a museum curator?
Well, firstly, now I'm too old because I'm in my 70s, so therefore, but I would have liked to have done something like that. But
what was your job?
Butcher.
Baker, candlestick maker?
Post, I've done quite a few things over a period of time. I've enjoyed every job I've ever done, but it's always make sure that I had time to get out and do a bit of detecting.
When you retired, it wasn't a question of turning the telly on and putting the slippers on. You got yourself out in the fields just like you've always done, with your boots on, walking up and down, waiting for bleep, 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 bleep.
Yes, and I'm still doing it now. I mean, I don't got as many hours. I used to go out 8 hours a day, even though I was working as well. But obviously, when you get a little bit older, you can't do it, but you still thoroughly enjoy it. And I would recommend it to anybody. If you've got legs are useful, your arms are useful, your brain's okay, take up the hobby.
Gordon, you brought 3 of your favourite, what do you call them, finds?
Finds? Well, you couldn't call much else because I found them.
3 of your favourite finds are there. Could you take them out in reverse order? Your 3rd favourite, your 2nd favourite and your 1st favourite?
My 3rd favourite is actually a piece of terracotta tile which has come from a Roman site. Now, you might see this in the field, anything like that, or walk over it yourself. But I think it's one of those things that if you did find it and you actually had a good look at it, you would say, that's interesting. Because what it is, it's actually a piece of roof tile which a dog has run over while it's still wet. And you can actually see the imprints of the dog. Now, if you think about it, over 2,000 years ago, that tile was being made. You can imagine now the Romans throwing something at the dog to get him off of the tiles which he was treading on, and that is one of these tiles. And it took me over a day going through about 300-400 pieces of tile just to find that one with the actual imprint on.
Just trying to think what the Roman name for a dog might be. Fido?
It could be, or Bruno. Bruno would be better. Or Roman.
So, that's your third favourite of your three items you brought here. A spoon?
Spoon. Right, the second favourite is actually a spoon. Spoons we still use now. You can't improve on it, can you? You've got a bowl, you've got a stem. Full stop. It's made for normally soup, stew, desserts, anything such as that. But again, this is not terribly old, but it dates to the reign of Elizabeth I. Now, the spoon was very valuable to the people who actually used them. In fact, there is a painting of a chap called Bruegel in the wedding dance of about 1520. He's dancing with his bride, and in his hat, he's got a spoon. Not a feather like Robin Hood, but a spoon. The reason being, spoons was very valuable. If you was invited out somewhere, you'd take your own spoon with you, for eating with. Purely because if you think about it, a lot of people when they go on holiday or anywhere else, they take a little memento home with them, don't they? So, obviously people got sussed it out and they said, well, if you want to come for a meal, you fetch your own spoon, we will supply the plate and the food. Because it look a bit awkward if you try to walk out of a big mansion or somewhere like that where you've just been visiting, you would soon see if you got a plate stuck up your sleeve, but you couldn't see the spoon. Now this is the reason why mostly you have to take your own spoon with you.
What about other cutlery?
They had knives, such as domestic knives, they called utility knives. They normally carried these about their person all the time. But to me, a knife is a knife, but something like this spoon, it's so personal. On the bowl, it's actually even got the maker's mark. It's 2 Tudor roses, so it's quite dateable. At the other end, it's what they call a sill top. It's like a flat at the top. So the person who lost it must have been devastated, because obviously he had to go and buy another one. And if you think about it, in the Tudor period, the main, shall we say, work was labouring for the people, and that means 6pence a day. That's what they got. And a spoon would cost you about 6pence. So a day's pay for a spoon. I always say to people, would you pay a day's pay for a spoon now? No.
Some people are getting a day's pay for a spoon.
Yeah, not this particular one though.
Tell us a bit about it. What's it made of? Sort of base metal?
This is made of what the archaeologists call latten, which we call brass. Now what it is, because you know brass, it taints after a little while, it goes off, and you have to keep polishing it like candlesticks. But what they used to do, they used to dip these in something called black pitch, silver or gold to make them look the part. And like that you just have to wash it. But again, it's not just to say the age of the spoon and everything else, but if you can put your mind back to the reign of Elizabeth I and the person who actually carried it about, you just can't imagine it. You just can't. To me that is lovely. It's better than a gold coin.
What part of society would they be? Aristocrats? Peasants?
Peasants. Peasants only had spoons such as this. If you was a wealthy person, it would be made of silver. No need to plate it silver. The king, there are actually references of the king eating off gold plates with gold spoons, gold knives. Well, you would think of it. In that period, you've got quite a few different levels of society.
Nothing changes now, Paul.
Not a great deal, no. But it's still nice when you come across it. It's not the value of it, because they are valuable, it's the history of it.
And your first favourite then?
Well, believe it or not, it's a piece of iron.
Any old iron?
Not any old iron. Now this is the earliest horseshoe you can get. It's Roman, again about 2,000 years old. But what it is, in the Roman period, they didn't know how to secure a horseshoe to the horse's hoof with nails. It hadn't been invented. So what they'd done was, they'd place the horse's hoof inside, they'd turn it like that, they'd put straps through the loops, tie it around the top, and there's called a hippo, which is the back of it. They'd tie that around the hoof as well. So like that would secure it to the horse. If you think about it, all that work gone into it. Because people say, are you sure that when you turn it over and you do that, what have you got? You've got a horse's shoe. It's as simple as that. But to me it's fascinating because the condition as well, you can even see the file marks on it. People don't realise it wasn't on the animals all the time, on the horses all the time. Normally when you went into battle, These were actually used as a weapon. They were on the front of the horse's hoof, so they'd raise the horse up and wallop, hit the opponents. So therefore, this is the only time they actually used the horseshoe is when they was actually in battle. Normally the cavalry was on the outside of the travelling soldiers without any horseshoes on at all. But to me, that is lovely. I mean, there's so much history there. It's lovely.
It's like they turned the horse into an armoured vehicle.
Yeah, it's
a tank, but they were able to tread the opponents down, not just with a hoof, which is bad enough, but that coming down on you could do you serious injury.
Well, yeah, I mean, it must weigh about a pound. Just a horseshoe. I mean, a horseshoe wouldn't weigh a pound now. The horses wouldn't get around. It'd be too heavy for it.
Would they have made them even more vicious by putting little spikes at the side?
No, it was just basic. If they'd have put anything on the shoe, like a spike, it would stick into the ground and therefore impede the horse when it was travelling forward. So they just done a standard shoe such as that, and they called it hippos.
Do you know, from what you've shown me, I can see why you're so excited and why it doesn't have to be gold or silver. This has been such a history lesson from you, Gordon. I could speak to you for hours, but you're shortly going to go and give this talk. Thank you so much. It's just opened my eyes. I know so much more. And I'm interested in that name, hippo. I believe that hippopotamuses is an ancient Greek word which means a water horse.
Correct.
So this is
Water horse.
a water. This is the same hippo word.
Yes.
Horse.
That's correct.
Well, then
And if you think about it, that little bit at the end there is still on the buildings, on the edge of apex, and they're called hippos.
Oh, is that where you get the hip from?
Yes. On the side of a roof, and when the apex comes down, this little bit's on the edge, stop the tile sliding off.
And it's nothing to do with our hips at all.
Nothing to do with
It's
hips.
to do with horses.
It's the horses, yes.
Incredible. Thank you so much, Gordon. Bless you.
That's a pleasure.